Hello, Coco.
Hello, Rishi. So nice to see you.
Yes, it's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while. I've been working always during the week, and that's why I could
Ah,
not,
good.
yes, attend the
Well,
after.
it's nice to see you now.
Nice to see you. It's so nice to see you. Super happy. Yes, really. Thank you. Thank you again for sharing everything and for your space and energy and everything. Thank you so much. Um, I come to you today with two different things. Like the first one is that recently I had the realization of um, maybe the meaning of life, which is basically our death. Like I've been um, going through the experience of literally feeling the death within me, like dying, that I was dying somehow. And I realized what you always say to us, that this life is just a dream, and basically we are um, yes, the aim of this life is just to bring us back to our pure consciousness and to this space, and we will come back to this space basically with our death. So I was feeling the life really like a dream, that we are dreaming every day, and every day is like every day we prepare ourselves day by day to this moment, which I felt is the maybe most important moment of our life,
Yes.
to come back to our pure energy, pure essence. And at the same time, I got scared.
So so when you say that you've become aware of death, are you meaning a physical death?
Yeah, 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 like this physical death. Yes.
And so there's fear around that.
Yeah, I felt fear. I felt like if I would die tomorrow, I will get scared,
So
somehow.
is the fear that the body will die? Or is it the fear that is the fear about you will die before you wake up?
Mhm. Maybe both of them.
Both of them, yeah. So it's important to recognize in this moment of fear that everybody dies. This is just the way it is. So there's a level of acceptance that needs to be cultivated, you can say, or recognized, that there needs to be a level of acceptance of the fact that this body will physically die. But in order to cope with the fear that this body will die, it's also necessary that you remember that this can be a motivator. Yes, this can be a motivation to realize the self or realize the truth before this body dies. This puts this lifetime to good use when one says, oh, yes, realizes in this moment that this body also shall die, just like every other body has always died and will always die. This is the nature of having the body. Birth, old age, sickness, and death is what the Buddha said. In the practice of being consciousness or awakening or the self or inquiry, it's necessary, however, to counter this fear of physical death with the recognition that this can be used to motivate me to ask these difficult questions. Who am I? Who is it that dies? Was I ever born?
Yeah.
this is the form of inquiry that has been around for millennia. To use this and this is so deeply imbued in Eastern traditions of contemplation and meditation that all of the traditions have this practice of going to the cemetery, going to the charnel ground, going to the cremation ground, and viewing the process of the destruction of the body, the dissolution of the body, intentionally, in order to face this fear that you're talking about. So you are somehow coming to this quite naturally through your own attempt to understand with wisdom what's going on here. But this is a traditional practice to recognize that one's death is coming and that this will happen. And traditionally, what one does is goes to the charnel ground or goes somewhere where bodies are being cremated and observes what's happening and says, this will also happen to me. So best I make good use of this lifetime. So then we take this fear of dying, this fear of death, of physical death, and we turn it into the motivation for liberation.
Yes. Yes, like I realized that we are not our body, like you always say. You know, it took me months to get there, you know, to realize this concept, but to really, yes, to really understand that. So we are not the body, and I'm aware of that now. I'm aware that we are way much more than that. But maybe I'm still too attached to my body.
You know, probably there may be some of that, so you can keep some attention around that to be sure that that's not the case, or if it is the case, that you see those subtle feelings trying to arise, and then you move them on, you eradicate them. But I also want you to know that what also happens is that when the fear of the physical body dying begins to subside through this conversion of the fear into motivation for awakening, when that begins to happen, then the ego steps in and says, okay, so the body's going to die and I know that, but don't kill me. Don't kill this sense of me. Don't kill this internal sense of myness. This is my life. The ego does not. So the ego death is a more subtle death, which comes after the recognition that the physical death is not the end of me, that there is something greater. And that's what you just said. I realize there is something greater. I know that there is this bigger space. So now in this path of awakening, we can say, now what happens is the ego steps up and says, yeah, okay, the body can die. I'm not the body, but don't mess with me with this feeling that this is me. Don't kill me by stepping into liberation, truth as aware being, because there is no you as a personality that can go with you into the moment of complete liberation, into the recognition, I am not the body, not the mind, not the emotion, not the experiences. I am that which is aware. I am being, consciousness, I am the self. To go to that space, there cannot be any semblance, there cannot be any degree of belief that there is a you, a me, or a mine. All of this sense of separation in all these different ways is what dies. But the ego, at the place that you're at, right, sees that this is not what it wants. Don't kill me, don't kill you, don't kill mine. Please don't do that. So this is kind of where you're at right now. So I would just encourage you just to keep going and realize if you need to, you can also say to this mind, as I said earlier, bring this mind that is experiencing fear, bring it into the mind of compassion so that you understand that you have compassion for this sense of personhood, this sense of me-ness that is struggling to maintain its identity in the face of your unswerving desire to enter into truth. to enter into being consciousness where this me knows that it cannot exist. So open the mind with compassion. See the emptiness of these fears. Be here as being consciousness or awareness itself in this moment, and all is well. Keep coming back to this recognition.
Okay, thank you, Rishi. And then I would like to ask you something more, like it's a different topic. It's about love, and I have the feeling that the more I align myself with myself on this earth, the more I align myself with my energy, with the purpose of my life on this earth, the more I find myself, with my true nature, the more I get away from my beloved ones, like family, like sister, parents, and the more like I create, I don't know if I say I create, but the more I find distance and between us. So, and recently I had a conversation with my sister, and I told her that I loved her, even if we are not maybe close, physically close. And yes, I mean, I got the answer that love is not enough. And now I come to you with the same question, like I've been maybe thinking about that in terms of, if we are made by love, how love can be not enough in our life, or why in some situation in our life love is not enough.
Love is not a situation. Love is an expression of the presence of life itself in its absolute form. But what often happens for people like yourself is there is a period of time when one is, as you said, is realigning oneself with self-love, right? One has forgotten self-love for a long time. Now one is entering into spiritual life and into spiritual way of being, you can say, into a practice of some sort. And this can be felt as a realigning of one's conscious awareness with one's deep intention, with one's deep love. This is a different kind of love than is experienced between partners, between parents and children, between siblings, for a period of time. And the reason is it takes some different kinds of experiences of oneself as truth, as love itself, so that one can enter into relationships with apparent other beings with a completely open heart, with the same love and compassion that one has toward oneself, with the same wish for one's happiness to go also for the happiness of another. To be this open-hearted, it takes some reacquainting yourself or realigning yourself with the heart of love. And once this happens, then it's easy to be in relationship, even with close family members who know where all of our triggers are, where all of our buttons are. But it's very common in the story of saints and sages and awakened beings, that for a period of some, usually years, there is a tendency towards seclusion that happens. And it's not a rejection of parents or siblings or relationships in that way. It's not a rejection of that. It's an embracing of the relationship with one's deep self. And that while one is doing this, there isn't a conscious choice, I'm going to leave you alone, or I'm going to get away from you, or I'm not going to spend time with you. That's not what's happening. It's just that the attention is returning to the source, to the heart of being, to the internal love, to the vast space of loving awareness. And this takes some time for this to gain stability. And while that's happening, you may not even really notice until sister or mother or father says, love is not enough. You have to be here. You have to be part of the family. You have to do this, whatever it is. The relationship that you're in maybe says that you're not spending enough time with me. You're spending too much time in meditation or spiritual practice or doing yoga or something. So, but this is all happening quite naturally to you. You're not making, as the practitioner, you're not making a decision. You're actually feeling more loving toward sister, more loving toward parents, but you're just not spending a lot of time with them. This also comes full circle at some point. When there is a firm understanding that you are love itself, and this love is unwavering, and it's not just for mother and father and sister and partner, it's for the whole world, for all beings. This unconditional love is what you are realigning yourself with. But this can take some, again, the mind of awakening. It's an ever expanding experience. And eventually all of these beings will begin to feel the presence of your love, even when they are far away. And even it won't occur to them that they haven't spent a week with you for a year. It just won't occur to them because they feel the presence of your love and your being as you expand. But you may never speak about this with them, but it will just resolve itself.
It's maybe the hardest part of the process.
For some, yeah. If you feel that way, that this is the hardest part of the process for you, then I would just encourage you to express gratitude and so much love for having these kinds of relationships in your life, because many people do not. And so if you feel that there is this deep bond, then ask yourself, how can I use this to awaken? How can I love not only mother, father, sister with this great almost attachment, but how can I feel that same love in an open-ended and unconditional way for all beings? They have given me this firm foundation. I'm so grateful. Now I have to learn how to open this heart and to feel that same presence of love for all beings. So when you think of them with gratitude. Don't be afraid to call and say hello.
Thank you, Rishi.
Keep up your practice. Keep opening the heart. I know you will.
I'm doing it.
Yes, I know. You are flying like a true arrow. Keep going. Keep going.
Thank you.
Okay, whose hand is this? Okay. Hello. Yeah. Let me come over here. Oh, I lost you. Wait 1 second, please.
Hello, Rishiji.
I know. Hello. I've lost you. I'm just looking for your.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
I have a question about this, actually an issue, um, about this mind of awakening becoming more and more absent-minded.
Mm,
I
yeah.
keep missing my turns more while driving. I keep forgetting my shopping list. I keep forgetting my appointments. I keep forgetting my yoga mat while going to yoga. And well, frankly, this gets a bit annoying. And when I when I'm thinking about the Buddhist training, about this concentration, where you have to remember like why you left
Yeah.
your umbrella on the left side of the shoes or on the right side, this it feels like it goes like totally different ways. So I just wanted to ask for your insight. Is it like temporary or
Yeah.
what do you think about this?
It is temporary, but you know, my inclination mostly with these kinds of things is to ask myself, how can I use this? And so that's what I recommend that you do. Part of the way that you can use this is that the frustration and the that you are experiencing as this temporary situation is here. This is where you can use the mind, the heart of compassion for yourself, you know, for this one that forgets his yoga mat and so on, and develop a sense of humor around all of these things, even though it creates some inconvenience for you. If you go to the store and forget your shopping list, it's inconvenient. If you go to yoga and you forget your mat, it's inconvenient. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. Other than to say it is a temporary situation, but not temporary in the sense that you suddenly get the mind of mindfulness comes back the way that you would like it to be all the time. It's just that as you become more and more comfortable using these experiences to ask yourself, who has forgotten this shopping list and who has forgotten his yoga mat, and you begin to use these moments of what you're calling absent-mindedness to recognize and realize that you can open the heart of compassion towards yourself. You can live life in a way that is more spontaneous, but maybe not as perfect as you would like it to be in terms of concentration and mindfulness. And then it will allow it to pass, because the more you resist this way of being, that this is happening naturally, the more you resist this and the more you identify with the absent-minded one, in the same way that you identified with the mindfulness one, the more that goes on, the more upset and conflict you create within your own being. So that's why I say, please smile, laugh, forget about it, and just move on to the next thing, and it will pass. It will pass. Eventually you will just find that when there's no me doing all of these things, somehow there's just a reminder that comes, you know, as you walk out the door, you get to put your hand on the car or whatever, you're walking to the bus, and you suddenly realize, oh, the yoga mat. And then you go back and you get it, you know, or you just don't forget it. So there's a spontaneity and a synchronicity that begins to happen when there's no struggle inside of us. So I would just encourage you to keep going. Yeah.
Thank you.
And be compassionate toward yourself. Yeah. You're welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
Just 1 second. I can hear you. I'm trying
Yeah.
to see you. I'm trying to see you. Is this Alberto?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
There you
Hello,
are.
Rishi.
Now I can see you.
Hello. Hello,
Hello.
beautiful and blissful Sangha. Is I'm very happy to stay here. And in the same topic than Veronica about death, about the fear of death, fear of illness, because Ramana said that the body is like a cage, and the illness of the body is like the illness of the illness, because the body is like obstacle for our progress or our liberation. But on the other hand, and the body is our instrument to get the liberation. So we should care a little the body because it's our instrument. So I don't know if you understand me.
Yes.
So we have to combine both. So we don't have to have a lot of worried about the body. We shouldn't be worried about the body too much, but we should care a little the body. We should care because
For
our
what
health.
purpose? For what purpose?
Yeah.
Why
So
did Ramana say we should care about the body? To what purpose?
Because if we have a healthy body, the sadhana is easier. So
the purpose of having a healthy body is to continue sadhana, not to prolong the life of the body.
Yeah, is to get in this life, to get the liberation, to get
Yes.
yeah, I think it's the question.
Yeah. Understood. This is not the same thing she was talking about. She was talking about fear of death of the body. She wasn't talking about illness. She was talking about fear of death of the body. So do you have, are you sharing this, or is there a question about illness?
Yeah, I'm sharing because
Okay.
I'm here in these teachings for this. This is my 2 year. I'm 2 years now in this teaching,
Okay.
and I'm integrating these teachings like step by step, like little by little.
Yes.
And I have a fear like Veronica. I have fear of death. I have fear of illness. But in these 2 years, I realized that this fear is decreasing, is less than 2 years ago. So, and the love for the teachings and the love for these teachings is increasing. So, but I have fear. The fear is not over. So I still have fear.
Yes.
But I have
and
hope.
this goes on for a long time.
So I would like to say to Veronica that everyone, a lot of people have fear in this path, in these teachings, but it's normal. I think it's yeah.
Very good.
So so a lot of
Yeah.
love, because because the more love you have in your heart, the less is the fear to death, I think.
Yes.
So thank you.
Very good. Thank you for sharing. So also, I really want to also explain, go a little bit further than what Alberto said, and just to explain to all of you so that you understand that there are two kinds of fear that he's talking about there. Fear of death is the fear of dissolution, or the fear of the loss of life, right? The loss of the body. Fear of illness is usually related more to a fear of pain or of suffering of some sort while in the body. So these are two types of fear, and they can be handled in the same way, simply by letting go and realizing I'm not the body and so on. This can definitely happen. But fear of dying and fear of illness contain within them two different opportunities for sadhana, two different opportunities, two different tendencies, you can say. And so you just have to examine your own, this fear when it comes up for you. If it's fear of death of the body, then this is one type of fear. And both, however, are related to this deeper underlying fear of dissolution of the me, right? Or the you, the personality. Dissolution of the body is one thing, and often many people can come to a deep understanding, as Veronica and I were just talking about, Coco and I were just talking about, that there is this deep fear that comes up around dissolution of the body, the loss of the body. And then there's also this other kind of fear around illness itself. But underlying both is the deep recognition, if you look deeply enough, that what is really being feared is this dissolution of the personality, of the belief in separate existence of some sort. And this is what's really the deepest fear, especially once we undertake sadhana. Everyone has some sort of a recognition that the body will dissolve, and everyone has some sort of recognition that illness may come and it may go, and there's some fear and some uncomfortableness and some fear of pain and all these kinds of things that I've talked about. But the deeper pain, the deeper fear, the deeper dissolving that needs to happen is this dissolving of the personal identity. And this is really the deepest fear. So you can just examine it, look inside yourself and see if this isn't true for you. You know, many people, if you ask them, would you rather that you die tomorrow, or would you rather that the ego dissolve tomorrow? They would say, I would rather die tomorrow. I don't know how to live without this ego. I don't know how to live without this me. I don't know how to live without this identity. So I would rather that I don't have to face that, is really what's being said. So yeah. Part of what happens as we become more and more stable in awareness itself, this awareness in which all of this that we're talking about now in terms of conceptuals, that all of these conceptual levels dissolve. As we rest more and more in the recognition that that which is aware is here now, all of these kinds of conceptual level fears and so on will come up. And this is what we want, isn't it? This is the burning up of the vasanas and the tendencies that continue to make us feel separate and keep our heart closed on a much deeper level to other people and to life itself. So all of you have stepped into this recognition of there being something deeper, something that you intuit. Even if you say, oh, well, I'm not awake, I don't know what I'm really doing here. Even if you feel that way, you still keep coming back, you still keep inquiring, you still keep meditating, you still keep looking at what's happening in the mental processes, in the emotional processes, in your experiences. You still keep observing, witnessing, you still keep opening the heart and coming back again with this open heart. And so you have made this commitment in this lifetime, and it's not likely that you'll end it now. So just keep going. Just keep going. Open the heart of awareness and rest. let awareness do the work.
And I had another question.
Yes, so that-
When you said that the bigger expression of love is the life, it is the expression of the life itself, is because the life itself is the self, is expression of the self.
Yes. Yes.
So the best gesture that we can do in love is to just to be conscious of ourselves. So more than other thing is to is like to go inwards. Is the expression of love.
To go inward and to be conscious of the self is the same
Yes.
thing. Yes.
Yes.
To remain with this feeling, I exist, or I am, or I. This is to go inward. Same
This is
thing.
this is the best expression of love that we can do.
Yes. But something interesting, but yes, this is very, very true. And something interesting does happen. And this is the more that we go into this heart, the more that we fall into this relaxed, open space of being, the more we realize that we are not just doing that for me, the more we realize that we are doing that for all of existence.
Yes.
Yes. And that all of existence lives within us and expresses through us. So this is the expression of life itself.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Very good.
Good morning or good evening, Rishi.
Hello, JB.
How are you?
Very good. How are you? It's been a while.
Yeah. It's busy on this end sometimes.
Yes, I understand.
I have a question about how to utilize some of the moments where I'm triggered. I'm teaching up here on the Navajo Nation, and I have a lot of students who have issues, a lot of pain, and
Yes.
they express that in their behaviors.
Generational pain, yes.
Yeah, and some of it, duly focused on white people.
For good reason.
Yes, and
but misplaced.
But that's not particularly the specific. That specific part isn't the issue I'm going at. But I find myself, there are expectations in this role I play as a teacher from the parents in the district and the state, and then there are the behaviors that foil that from the students, and I find myself triggered in the moment in the classroom with the kids, and it's frustration, sometimes anger, certainly anger later, when I'm processing,
Yes.
and confusion in the moment, and I struggle to hold that space. The ego is embarrassed, and I'm trying to figure out how to help 24 students while 1 or 2 are trying to stop that process. And I guess my question is, do you have any recommendations how to recenter or how to hold that emotional space on that stage in front of my class, with those feelings of the ego coming up, and maintain a center, because I get off sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, sure.
And there's tactics for moving the class, but then I'm looking for tactics for working with my own personal center.
Yes. Yes.
under
Yes.
under fire.
Yes.
If you have
yes.
comments there, I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. The first thing I'm gonna say to you, because I know that you're new in this role, relatively new in this role. And the first thing I'm going to encourage you to do is really to cultivate patience for yourself, not patience for them and not patience for the behavior, but patience for the one who struggles and the one who suffers, and the one who is trying so hard to to be loving and kind and in this situation. So patience for yourself, because these skills are skills that you will develop over time. And so patience for yourself and patience for the process of development, you need that, in a very practical way, not, you need that. But for yourself, the most important thing you can offer yourself at this moment is compassion, compassion for this heart that wants to shut down. And that's what when you say, I feel frustrated or I feel anger, if not in the moment, certainly later, anger toward myself, anger toward the situation. We are tested in this way so that we see the ways in which this reactivity happens. And if we bring compassion to ourselves and we see that this reactivity is there and we know that it's there, then when we see it not only in ourselves, but we see it in another, or you see it in the children, you see it in the kids you're trying to teach, and you see the anger rise up in them, or the blocking tendency, or the, whatever it is, whatever that emotional wound is that they are acting out of. Now, if you understand that what you're acting out of is also a similar kind of emotional wound, maybe for a different reason, but nonetheless, when you feel that sense of your gut is tight and you're just gripping, and you're just trying not to become angry, you're just trying not to show the frustration, you're not dissimilar from them. So open the heart of compassion. Open the heart of compassion for yourself, for the one who gets triggered. This triggering is not happening because you are a bad person. This triggering is happening because of something that's happened in your own life, because of something that's happened in a previous life. This is why it's called a tendency or a vasana in the East. So if you can be aware that this is not me who is the one who feels frustrated and later feels angry, this is a tendency which is rising out of my conditioning. And then you can have compassion toward yourself. And as you become aware and cultivate compassion we cultivate compassion for ourselves, we develop insight and compassion for the apparent other. So these are not necessarily things that you're always going to be able to do in the moment when you're meeting this resistance. But these will help you later when you're at home and you're dealing with the frustration and you're dealing with the anger. In the moment, understand that it's always a shock to anyone, to any being who is feeling a sense of resistance or an anti-authority kind of situation. It is always a shock when that resistance or that the expectation for pushback in that situation is met with openness and open-heartedness. And as much as possible, if you are cultivating compassion, you are bringing non-reactivity into that moment. So that the tendency when we meet resistance in relationships is for our heart to immediately begin to close or try to defend. It tries to circle the wagons around the heart, right? To use a Western New Mexico metaphor. It tries to circle the wagons around the heart and protect and defend. But actually, the intuition is not to open in the space of that kind of resistance or that kind of confrontation. That's not the first thing that we think of, but it's actually the better remedy to learn to stand still in the midst of what we're here with as open a heart as possible. Again, patience and compassion is what we're bringing to the moment. And sometimes those resistances can begin to dissolve. Maybe not immediately, but someone who, I mean, I'm specifically thinking about a child or a teenager who has that tendency to want to fight with everybody and with everything. That's a really difficult situation. But if you can see the pain in that situation, in that being, and you can meet that with an open heart, with patience and compassion, eventually that one will stop pushing. They will just stop pushing because, that kind of pushing loves to be pushed back against. That's what it's looking for. That's a form of attention. That's a form of attention. I push against you because I want you to pay attention to me, so then you will push back against me. So have a sense of compassion and openness. And, there you are in the position of authority, you are in the position of the pseudo-parent in that situation. So also be very compassionate toward yourself if there is a line that can't be crossed because you're in a social situation and you're in a work situation. So if there's a line that can't be crossed, then that's where you have to stand. And you have to be compassionate, but you can stand there with some practice, you can stand there without anger, you can stand there with openness, but you can also be the authority in the room. But not from the place of, I don't like you or I hate you, but rather from, I love you unconditionally, but I really don't like this behavior. And it's amazing how well children and teenagers respond when they feel that the heart is open, that there isn't a hatred that's coming from an adult, but rather there's a direct or a clear communication. I love you unconditionally, and this doesn't necessarily have to be spoken, but the feeling is I love you unconditionally, but this behavior is not going to work for me. So be sure that when you need to stand on that line, or you need to draw that line, or you need to be the authority, that you make it clear that what you're talking about with them or to them about is the behavior. And eventually, even very difficult people understand that that's the line you're drawing in your own expression, is that you're not withdrawing your heart, but you're saying this behavior in this situation does not work. So what are we going to do about that? It's behavior we need to change. You are still welcome. You're still here in my heart space, but this behavior has to change. So you have to accept that, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said to Arjuna when he said, I don't want to go out there. I don't want to fight in this battle. I don't want to kill anyone. Those are my cousins and my relatives out there. And he said, it's not your deal. That's not your responsibility. That's the responsibility of the Supreme. Your responsibility is to do your duty. And so go out and serve your God, serve your Lord, serve your life, your compassion, whatever that is for you. And take responsibility for what your task is, and leave everything else up to. He said, "Leave it up to me," as Krishna. leave it up to me. It's all within the purview of my vision. I can see what you cannot see. And so partly I shared that with you so that you understand that you really don't know what's going on here. So do the best you can, remain compassionate, remain open-hearted, be patient with yourself, as patient as you can be with them, while still maintaining the boundaries of authority that you have to maintain because it's part of your job.
Thank you. I will conjure this memory up in that moment. Take a minute to lean against my desk and leave
Take a
some
deep
space
breath.
for us all to consider where we're at.
Yeah. And sometimes you just have to act in the moment, and it's like even if it means you have to apologize later, sometimes you just have to be spontaneously in the moment with whatever it requires. But if you practice this practice of patience and self-compassion and open-heartedness, chances are you won't explode out of frustration, or you won't get angry out of frustration, at least not in the classroom.
Yeah, there's been no explosions. Just, I imagine the parent angst that I feel of like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. That's right.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for.
All the best. That's a challenging role that you took on. But I remember we talked about it before I left, and you were contemplating taking this role, and I didn't really realize you had taken it, but you were definitely in the process of considering it. So I just offer you, deep compassion and much love and support for what you're doing, and just do the best you can with it, and know that this somehow everything will come out well in the end, in one way or another.
Thank you. Yeah.
Continue to learn and grow. Don't just be the teacher, also be the student. This is because these beings are there to teach you also. So be willing to learn from. But
I think I am learning more than they are.
but don't let them know that.
No. Well, I'm just teaching them silly things about, playing games and, vocabulary, and they're teaching me about my humanity. Thank you all. Thank you, Rishi.
Keep opening the heart. Just keep opening the heart. That's always the key.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All the best.
Good to be with you all.
All right. So it seems like I don't have any more people raising their hands. So I wish you all the best, and have a good day, a good night, a good rest. Happy to be with you all again. Know that you are the self, the one being, consciousness, bliss. Before all else, in body, mind, and world, in past, present, and future, I am. This is your nature. the heart of being, the truth of life itself. Hari Om Tat Sat.